How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Abu Dhabi, Sandhagen vs. Nurmagomedov on August 3rd, 2024. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 13. We start in the middleweight division, Cedric Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. This fight was originally booked for Saudi, and I'm going to go with my same pick. I don't know if I said it in the video because the fight had already been removed. I'm going with Cedric Dumas. Most likely going to go to decision. Most of Cedric Dumas' success in the UFC has been via his grappling in the Cody Brundage and Abu Dhabi fight. And the difference between Denis Tiuliulin and those guys is that Cody Brundage is kind of a wrestler. That's kind of where he does have a lot of success. He is kind of a decorated wrestler, and Abu Dhabi is a short, stubby middleweight, so the only place of success he usually has is the grappling. Denis Tiuliulin's big weakness, everyone knows it, is his grappling. And I also think Cedric is going to have a number of success on the feet because he has a longer reach than Denis Tiuliulin. Denis usually struggles with people who are longer and rangier than him. And Denis is quite slow. I don't know what causes this. He is fundamentally kind of sound boxing-wise. I do like his ones and twos. He does kind of do some blitzes, kind of Robert Whittaker style, but like leaves his chin. He doesn't put his... He sometimes does get his head off the center line, but he kind of just leaves it there to get hit. And I think Cedric is going to throw a number of leg kicks. That's kind of what... His offense of style reminds me of Israel Adesanya, in the fact that he throws in a lump of leg kicks, uses the jab, uses the 1-2, tries to find his range, fades his way in, leg kick, and then he'll shoot a double leg. So Cedric in those tactics work very well against a guy like Denis Tiuliulin. I like the leg kicks because he doesn't know how to check leg kicks. He's so leg lead heavy that if you just chop it down, he's going to become super slow, and I think that's going to allow Cedric to have a number of success on the feet and eventually have a number of success in the grappling. I also think that Denis Tiuliulin doesn't understand clinch positions all that well. A guy like Christian Leroy Duncan was able to hold him against the fence for about 4 minutes in that first round, and I think Cedric Dumas is just a little bit more technically smart when it comes to clinch positions because he is just a better grappler than Christian Leroy Duncan. And also, Cedric is just... he's younger, he's bigger. I just think he's better than Denis Tiuliulin. I know Denis Tiuliulin has a number of fights. He's way more experienced. He's fought way harder competition than Cedric but he's also very beatable. And he does show weaknesses to places where Cedric does thrive. So I think Cedric will get his third win in the promotion, probably by unanimous decision, most likely 30-27. And also, Denis does slow down as fights go on. He is a pressure-style fighter, but his cardio doesn't match it. So Cedric 30-27, unanimous decision, lock it in. We move to Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. I'm going to go with Rolando Bedoya, if I'm being honest. I think that Rolando moving down in weight class, I think he's just going to out-physical a guy like Jai Herbert. I like Rolando's pace and pressure. I will say he is a little wild at times, and I think that's going to favor technical striking in Jai Herbert's favor. But I think Jai Herbert is one of these MMA dudes who suffers from trying to be too technical, if you know what I mean. Where he's, really trying to feint in and, he's wasting time. And even then, he's trying to be technical. He leaves openings. He's also 36. He's fighting a bigger guy, and we've seen Jai Herbert get chinned by featherweights and people who are shorter than him. I think Rolando Bedoya having the ability to eat shots off of guys like Kenan Song and Chaos Williams. I mean, he arguably beat Chaos Williams, and you guys know how I feel about Chaos. That's the fucking dude. All right, that's the boy. Rolando Bedoya, I also feel like he could outmuscle Jai Herbert, because Jai Herbert, for some reason at this point in his career, loves a good clinch exchange, and I just think that Rolando Bedoya is stronger than Jai Herbert, and I think he could muscle him down. And even on the feet, one of these wild overhands from Rolando Bedoya can just chin the fuck out of Jai Herbert. We know how chinny he is. We also know that Jai Herbert, when it goes the distance, it usually is boring, and it's a lack of output. You throw a guy like Rolando Bedoya in there, who has massive amounts of output, how is Jai Herbert going to look? And I think Rolando Bedoya is going to gas out Jai Herbert. I think he's going to out-muscle him, out-physical him. And I honestly think Rolando Bedoya is going to TKO him in the third round. I also like Rolando Bedoya's leg kicks. He throws them aplenty. He's a very volume-heavy fighter. And he doesn't have insane KO power, but he does look, it looks like he throws heavy at least. And I think Jai Herbert being 36, he doesn't have a significant size advantage over a welterweight like Rolando Bedoya, who was pretty decent sized for that division too. Jai Herbert is malnourished at 155, and I think he's honestly going to get tagged a couple of times, and I think he's going to get TKO'd in the third round. I know Jai Herbert's had close fights with guys like Ludovit Klein. He beat Kyle Nelson, which for some reason is a good win now because the UFC makes no sense. And of course, his losses aren't that bad in retrospect, like Renato Moicano, Ilia Topuria, but then he's also lost to guys like Fares Ziam, and I'll include Francisco Trinaldo in there because that guy is just old as shit. But yeah, he also lost to Rhys McKee. That's not a good look to me. He got KO'd by Rhys. I don't like that at all. I'll go Orlando Bedoya, third round TKO. I just think that his pace and pressure, leg kicks, and overall size and strength advantage, he isn't like taller than Jai, but he's way more muscular and not malnourished. So yeah, I'll go Orlando Bedoya, third round TKO. We move to Victoria Dudikova versus Sam Hughes. I'm going to go with Victoria Dudikova by unanimous decision. I just don't think that Victoria is going to lose to Sam Hughes. I don't think Sam Hughes is the person to do it. She's undefeated. 8-0, 2-0 in the UFC. She's beat Jin Yun Frey. She beat the other girl. I forget what her name is. Fuck. Who was it? Oh, yeah, it was Estela Nunes when she broke her arm. I just think Victoria Dudikova, her IQ is pretty good. I think that's all she needs to do or have is that to beat a girl like Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes needs to mentally break opponents and able to beat them in like the Elise Reed and Jacqueline Emmerim. She needs to make them gas out, and I just don't think she's going to be able to do that with Victoria. Because Victoria didn't even look all that gassed out when she had the staph infection in her last fight. So, yeah, I just think I have no reason outside of being like, oh, Sam Hughes is an underdog. I'll go with her. You know what I mean? So Victoria Dudikova, I think her bread and butter striking on the feet, ones and twos, I think it's going to work. I think she's going to be able to out-grapple Sam Hughes because that's the only way that Sam Hughes is really going to be able to have a lot of success is the grappling. And I don't think she's going to be able to out-grapple Victoria Dudikova from Russia. So, yeah. I'll go Victoria Dudikova, unanimous decision, lock it in. We move to Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucenic. I'm going to go with Guram Kutateladze probably by decision. I don't know if he finishes Jordan. Both of Jordan's losses are by decision, I believe. Right? Please be correct. Yeah, they're both by decision. I just feel that wherever Jordan Vucenic, like where he is at his best, which is on the ground, he's not going to be able to get there. On the feet, Jordan Vucenic is a heavy kicker. He throws a lot of leg kicks, throws a lot of body kicks. The work with his hands isn't that great, if I'm being honest. He overloads on a lot of stuff, leaves a lot of openings. His boxing fundamentals aren't totally sound. And he's going up a weight class on short notice. This guy fought literally 2 weeks ago. He got a first-round sub, so he didn't take any damage. But, it's another weight cut. And he's a big dude for 145, but this is at 155 against a big lightweight in Guram. And Guram can create scrambles. He's fought better grapplers, in my honest opinion. I think that Mateusz Gamrot, Damir Ismagulov, I think both of those guys are just better than Jordan Vucenic. Maybe not Damir, but Mateusz for sure. And those guys, combined, they went 5 of 21 in takedowns. And Guram wasn't really getting held down either. So I just think that a featherweight who has less grappling skills isn't going to be able to hold down Guram. And the only way Jordan's going to be able to win this fight is if he breaks Guram physically. You have to break him to beat him. Kind of like what Elvis Brenner did. And Elvis Brenner was getting the shit kicked out of him. but Elvis Brenner has that dog in him. And, you know, I don't know if Jordan Vucenic has that dog in him just yet, especially on short notice. I just think that Garam's just going to be able to create scrambles, even if Jordan does get him down, because that's kind of Garam's main thing. Him and Mateusz Gamrot have some of the nastiest scramble games in the UFC, and if Garam's able to create scrambles with guys like Gamrot, guys like Demir, guys like Elvis Brenner even though he's not really that great of a grappler, he does train at Shoot the Box with Charles, so he does have grappling prowess. I don't know if Jordan Vucenic is. So Garam, even on the feet, Garam is a heavy kicker, but he does mix in the hands very well. I think he's just better than Jordan Vucenic. Jordan is going to look good at featherweight, but this is at lightweight. This is, again, and you guys know how I feel about short notice guys. This could end up being an Andre Lima situation where I'm like, but I just don't think Jordan Vucenic is a better fighter. That's the thing. Going into the Andre Lima-Muhammad Naimov fight, I was like, Andre Lima's the better fighter. He's going to look better. But I didn't know how the cardio would hold up, and he ended up beating Muhammad Naimov. So maybe Jordan Vucenic's going to be able to do it. I just personally don't see it. So I'll go Garam, unanimous decision, 30-27. We move to Shamil Gaziev versus Don'Tale Mayes. I'm going to go with Shamil Gaziev. I think he's going to be able to TKO Don'Tale Mayes. I think this fight's going to kind of look like the Martin Buday performance. I just don't think Don'Tale Mayes is all that good. You know what I mean? People... Oh, he knocked out Andre. Who was the last guy who knocked out Andre Arlovsky? You know what I'm saying? Andre was like 44 when they fought. Eventually, someone's going to be able to chin Andre Arlovsky if you tap him once. You know what I mean? Shamil Gaziev, his pace and pressure, the guys that we see Don'Tale Mayes struggle with are people who are just able to move forward on him because Don'Tale is a big guy. But, like, Rodrigo Nascimento is able to smudge this dude. You know what I mean? Rodrigo Nascimento. It's not a good look, dude. So Shamil Gaziev, he's a force to be reckoned with. The Blob has come for his third victim in the UFC, because he did beat Jairzinho Rozenstruik, if you guys remember that fight. Jairzinho tapped out due to his hand hitting Shamil's face. Shamil, he might be able to get down Don'Tale Mayes. Don'Tale Mayes has like a 60% takedown defense. Shamil's a strong guy, heavy pressure. I just think that he's better than Don'Tale Mayes. I just think that he's better. On the feet, I think Don'Tale Mayes has a chance because of the punching power he has. But besides that, like, I can't doubt Shamil Gaziev. I can't doubt him after that last performance. Like, I don't think Don'Tale Mayes has the striking prowess of Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So I don't think he's going to be able to, like, crowd and beat up Shamil Gaziev. You know what I mean? And Shamil Gaziev, he did go at a pretty solid pace for 4 rounds. I hope he worked on his cardio. I think he can honestly dominate this fight inside and out. He should win. If Shamil loses to Don'Tale Mayes, it's fucking over, dude. It's over. Wrap up the career. You're cooked, buddy. We move to Muhammad Yaha versus Kawhi Fernandez. I'm going to go with Kawhi Fernandez. I think he'll probably win by decision. Muhammad Yaha, I'm going to be honest, I don't really think is all that good when I'm watching tape film or study on him. I just don't really think he's all that great. He was having trouble grappling with a guy like Trevor Peek, and that's a no bueno from me. That's no good. On the feet, I can understand, because Trevor Peek is kind of difficult to deal with at moments because of his pressure, but Kawhi Fernandez is the same style. Instead of the hands, it's his feet. He loves to throw heavy-ass kicks to the body, and I just think that Kawhi being able to grapple with a guy like Mark Jacasey and being able to get up at times, I don't think Muhammad Yaha is going to have a lot of success in this fight, just primarily because I don't think he's all that good. I think Kawhi Fernandez has the same, if not more pressure, more volume than Trevor Peek. He may not hit as hard, but he's pretty technical on the feet as well. Muhammad Yaha, he's getting a lot of buzz because he's like the first dude in the UFC to actually fight out of Abu Dhabi, but he's not good. He's good, but he looks a little slow at times. His gas tank isn't that great. And I think a visual of you being grapple fucked by Trevor Peek just makes me not want to pick you. Even though Kawhi Fernandez isn't a grappler, he was actually initiating clinches with Mark Jacasey at times and being able to dominate the clinch in certain positions. And Trevor Peek was able to do that a multitude of times against Muhammad Yaha in their fight. And I think Kawhi Fernandez is just a little bit more smart than than Trevor Peek is. So I'll go Kawhi Fernandez, unanimous decision. We move to the featured prelim, Azamat Murzakanov versus Alonzo Menafield. I'm going to go with Azamat Murzakanov by first round KO. Azamat, people forget he exists because he's super inactive. He hasn't fought since like April of last year when he beat Dustin Jacoby. But I just think that Azamat's boxing is very clean for this division at light heavyweight. It's something that a lot of guys at the heavier divisions kind of lack. And Azamat's pretty fucking clean with it. He does give up a lot of size advantage to guys he fights, like Alonzo Menafield, like Dustin Jacoby. But he hits like a brick wall. And Alonzo Menafield has the tendency to do a jitterbug sometimes. And Alonzo Menafield, his cardio's pretty bad. Let me pull up these stats. A lot of his finishes come in the first round. He has 2 wins by decision. But besides that, his finishes, 10 of which are by first round finish. And then he has like a couple second round finishes. But he's also been KO'd a couple of times. Of course, last time out he got KO'd by Carlos Ulberg in about fucking 14 seconds, which is not good. And no, that's not that bad. Carlos Ulberg's a sniper, but he fucking ran at him like a goober. But the loss that really fucking upsets me is a loss to William Knight. I'm not picking you if you lost to fucking William Knight if you're fighting Azamat Murzakanov. I'm sorry. Also, he gassed out against Jimmy Crute. You know what I mean? He gasses against a lot of these guys. His power carries through, though. Like against Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby, these guys had like not polar opposite. That's not what I meant. Opposite of polar opposite. He had like similar fights. Dustin Jacoby kind of volumed them, but they kind of just landed the harder shots. Because Dustin Jacoby doesn't hit hard. Unless you're fucking Kennedy and Njoku, but that's beside the point. I think Alonzo Menafield's kind of... His IQ isn't the best in the cage. He makes mistakes. He leaves openings. And I think Azamat Murzakanov is a guy you can't do that against. But Alonzo's going to do that. So I'll go Azamat Murzakanov first round KO. I think Alonzo's probably going to be backing up. He'll lunge at him. And then Azamat's going to catch him with a clean left straight down the pipe and drop him. And then finish him with ground and pound. Because I don't think Alonzo is going to be able to. Because Alonzo also has a gnarly ground and pound game. He can get takedowns and just fucking beat the fuck out of you, but he's not going to get Azamat Murzakanov down. The density maxer that is Azamat Murzakanov. So, yeah. We move to Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Joel Alvarez. Sorry, I was stretching there for a second. This is a tough one, though, because Joel Alvarez is a very... These both Elvis and Joel are both kill or be killed guys, kind of how I talked about the Sung Woo Choi versus Steve Garcia fight. Joel Alvarez has incredible Muay Thai skills, loves a leg kick, loves the knees up the middle, loves ones and twos, but he also has one of the most dynamic submission games in the UFC, especially in the lightweight division. 17 wins by sub. He has an 100% finish rate. Elvis Brenner, though, the problem with Joel Alvarez is his takedown defense is shit, and he is one of these guys who will lay on their back at moments to try and play BJJ off their back. And I don't like that. I don't like people that are like that, but Joel Alvarez is so dynamic that he's able to do it efficiently. Elvis Brenner, I didn't really like his last performance. Even though he did have moments against Miktabek Orobai, I didn't like how terrible his weight cut was for him. I didn't like it one bit. It looked like the weight cut really got to him. I thought he looked shaky on the feet every second of the fight. He looked like a giraffe walking, and on the ground, he just made a bunch of mistakes. And I don't think Joel Alvarez is a guy you can make mistakes against. That's the thing. You cannot make mistakes against a guy like Joel Alvarez because his finishing potential is so high. He's able to finish a fight wherever it goes. You know what I mean? And Elvis Brenner, you know, he is a dog. Do not get me wrong. Elvis Brenner is a fucking animal. But he does take a lot of damage in fights. And I don't think this is a guy he can take damage against. So, Joel Alvarez, I think he honestly can sub Elvis Brenner. I think, because Elvis Brenner does shoot kind of shitty takedowns if you do hurt him enough. And I think Joel Alvarez might be able to get a guillotine in the first or second round. So, that's what I'll go with. Joel Alvarez, first or second round sub. I think on the feet it will be competitive because Elvis Brenner does have that punching power, and he is a dog. He will fight through adversity. But Joel Alvarez is not one of these softy big men in the lightweight division who's really tall and is kind of like just they can't take punishment. Joel Alvarez can take punishment. So he's also a dog. We move to Mackenzie Dern versus Lupita Godinez. I'm going to go with Lupita Godinez. I think she'll be able to get a decision over Mackenzie Dern. I really like how Lupita was able to defensively grapple with a girl like Virna Jandiroba. Because I cross-reference Virna and Mackenzie Dern's fights with Amanda Lemos, and Virna got her out of there. I know Mackenzie Dern, didn't she beat Virna? Which is crazy. But I think she only beat her because she has better striking, right? Yeah. She kind of outstruck her from what I remember. Let me see. Yeah, it was kind of, yeah. I like that Lupita was able to grapple with Virna Jandiroba, though. She was able to defensively grapple with her. I think Virna Jandiroba is a more dangerous offensive submission artist than Mackenzie Dern, after seeing what she was able to do to Amanda Lemos. And I also just think that Mackenzie Dern, stand-up-wise, it's not that great, man. It's not that great. And I think Lupita Godinez's boxing, her Muay Thai skills, her kickboxing, is just better than Mackenzie Dern. And I think if Lupita is able to defend takedowns, which she should be able to do because she is pretty sound when it comes to takedown defense. I mean, 84%. Mackenzie Dern isn't really well known for her offensive wrestling. I don't think she's going to be able to get Lupita Godinez down. And I think that's what's really going to cost her in this fight. Because I think Lupita's going to be able to box her face off. Because I think Mackenzie at certain points is just going to have to butt scooch at Lupita Godinez. And if Lupita just doesn't let her ego get in the way, you know what I mean? Doesn't let her ego get in the way, doesn't try and grapple. Kind of like these light heavyweights with Alex Pereira where they're like, dude, I'm going to fucking strike with him because everyone says I can't. If Lupita's just like, I'm going to stand up with you because you can't box, she should win. And she should. So I'll go Lupita Godinez, unanimous decision. Lock it in. We move to Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. I'm going to go with Michael Chiesa by unanimous decision, maybe even sub. I'm done. I'm done picking. I'm done believing in Tony. I'm done. I should have been done after the fucking Beneil Dariush fight. Yeah. I wanted to pick Tony on the off chance that he gets a Darce choke on Michael Chiesa. Because that is Michael Chiesa's kryptonite, is a Darce choke. People who are offensively good, stand-up-wise, and can pressure him into a Darce. But Tony can't offensively pressure anyone now. It's kind of, he can't do it anymore. And Michael Chiesa is not that great, but he is going to have a significant size advantage over Tony. Michael Chiesa weighs a huge 155er. He's still a big welterweight when he moved up. Michael Chiesa looks insanely huge when standing next to other lightweights. Have you guys seen the photo of him with Dustin Poirier at 291? It was fucking nuts. And Tony Ferguson is old. It doesn't look like he's athletic anymore. he looks old. He looks old in the fights, man. You can see him aging in front of our eyes. If Tony's not able to get up, because Tony, for some reason now, just refuses to get up when he's taken down, and Michael Chiesa is gonna get him down. Even though Michael Chiesa isn't that great, and anyone who is offensively sound on the feet is able to easily dispatch of him like a Kevin Holland, I don't think Tony Ferguson is a Kevin Holland. I don't think Tony Ferguson is a Vicente Luque. Michael Chiesa is going to wrestle fuck and smudge Tony Ferguson into the canvas, and we're going to have to watch it for 15 minutes. Maybe less if he subs him, which is a good possibility, but yeah. Please just, for the fucking love of God, Tony, just retire after this fight, please. For fuck's sake. We move to the featured fight, Marlon Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. Why is this a 3-rounder? Who knows? I'm going to go with Chito Vera in this one. I think he's going to be able to TKO Davison in the 3rd round. Here's my thing with this fight. I think this fight, if you guys remember my fights that will not be competitive, I put this fight for bantamweight. And what I meant in that video, I didn't say it clearly enough, I think, is that this fight can be not competitive in 2 ways. If Cheeto's able to defend takedowns and make it a stand-up fight, he's going to KO Davison. If Davison's able to get takedowns and hold down Cheeto, he's going to be able to do that. So, I'm going to respect the former. I think Davison Figueiredo's older. He's 36. The only guys he's beaten so far are Cody Garbrandt and Rob Font, and we've seen what Marlon did to fucking Rob Font. He pieced him up. He didn't piece him up. Rob Font was piecing him up, but he has the X factor. And Davison, I think he looked old in his last fight. He looked like a 36-year-old bantamweight in his last fight, and I didn't like it. He looked slower on the feet. He had one moment of success against Cody Garbrandt, and I know Cody Garbrandt is a quick bantamweight, but it's Cody fucking Garbrandt at the end of the day. Unranked. Like, this was him coming off the Brian Kelleher fight. You know what I mean? So, I just don't think Davison... I think this is going to be a fight where we see the age of Davison Figueiredo. And also, Davison's going to be smaller than Cheeto. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be hard to take down Cheeto at this point. I think at this point, that's all he's going to be working on. And on the feet, we've seen Davison get knocked down by a Brandon Moreno jab at the end of the day. I know he was dehydrated. I know he was drained in that fight. But still, that's a Brandon Moreno jab, and he's going against Chito Vera. This guy knocks people stiff at bantamweight for a reason. He hits fucking hard as shit. We saw the one punch he landed super clean on Sean O'Malley almost shattered him. This guy, for some reason, has insane power, and he's going against a former flyweight moving up. I think Davison is going to go for a ground heavy attack. That seems like what his game plan is at bantamweight. He implemented the takedowns against Rob Font. He implemented the takedowns against Cody Garbrandt. He subbed Cody Garbrandt. I don't think he's going to be able to get Cheeto down. And if he is able to get Cheeto down, he's probably going to win. But I just don't think he'll be able to. Cheeto has he's been taken down by Corey Sandy and all these guys, but these are bigger dudes. These are bigger guys. I know Dominic got him down at certain points, but it's Dominic Cruz. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't really think Davison's going to be able to get him down. I think Chito Vera on the feet, he's going to throw a lot of kicks, throw a couple leg kicks. I think his 1-2s are going to be on point. I think Cheeto's going to build into this fight. And I think Davison Figueiredo's cardio against... I think Cheeto needs to pressure in this fight. I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to walk down Davison like he did before against Dominic Cruz and Rob Font. He needs to walk him down. Because... if he doesn't, then he'll lose. But I think Cheeto's going to walk him down, cut off the cage, corner him, and knock him out. That's what my goal is. Not my goal, that's my prediction. We move to the co-main event, Sharabutin Magomedov versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I'm going to go with Sharabutin Magomedov by 2nd round TKO. Yeah, I just don't... I think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk's taking this, and I don't think he's confident in his skills. We've seen it in the Instagram comment, but I also just think that Shara is going to be a more dynamic striker on the feet. it would be insane if Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is the guy that fraud checks Shara and just knocks him out. Because I'll tell you what, Shara's head movement is not great in the early moments. And we saw that McCall was able to knock down Kevin Holland. But Kevin Holland's also slow, and Shara's pretty quick. I think Shara's going to rip a bunch of body kicks. I think he's going to whip leg kicks at McCall. We know McCall is a little soft-bodied from the Michelle Pereira fight. He's also been hit in the body and crumpled over a couple other times in his career. And I think Shara mixes it up really well. I understand that Shara Butin's striking, not striking, his boxing isn't crazy good, but his kickboxing is very good. And I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. Also, McCall dislocated his arm literally a little over 2 months ago. So I think he's just taking this fight to be a company man and to be on the good side of Dana White like he was when he took the fight with Kevin Holland. I think this is a layup for Shara Butin, and he should win. He should be able to kickbox the face off of Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, because McCall is very wild, and McCall in wins needs to mentally break opponents and gas them out to take them down. Not take them down, but beat them up against the cage. He's not going to be able to do that against Shara Butin. I'm sorry. So I'll go Shara Butin, second round TKO. I think he's going to rip a mean-ass body kick and fold him with a liver kick. That's what my prediction is. My crazy on-point prediction. He's going to rip a liver kick on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk and drop him. We move to the main event. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm calling an upset in Abu Dhabi. I think Corey Sandhagen is going to pull this off. I think he is. And here's the reason why. My reasoning for this fight going Corey Sandhagen's way is, A, it's going to be a bigger octagon. This is Umar's only second time fighting in a real venue outside of the Apex. Other than actually, did he fight Homeboy, his debut in the Etihad Arena? He did, but that was during the fucking that was Chiesa Magni. I just think the big cage is going to cause problems for him. With a guy with the footwork of Corey Sandhagen, I think it's going to be tough for him to cut off the cage against a guy like Corey. You know what I mean? He's going to be able to do it against guys his size and smaller, but a taller, rangier opponent who knows how to manage distance very well, and Corey Sandhagen, who is a technical maestro on the feet, who, while he doesn't have power, does have some weapons in his arsenal that I think could work very well against Umar. AKA, I'd like Corey Sandhagen's uppercut that he showed in the Cheeto Vera fight, when Cheeto would constantly duck his head, he'd get clipped with an uppercut. And 2, the flying knee. Corey Sandhagen throws a flying knee, and Umar Nurmagomedov likes to duck. He does. He likes to just kind of shift his head off the center line a little bit, but doesn't do anything with it. Like in the Bekzat Almakhan fight, the reason why he got clipped was he legit just dropped his hands and moved his head to the side. I don't have a face cam, but what I'm doing is what he did. He dropped his hands and just got clipped on the temple and died for it almost. So I also don't think Umar is ready for 5 rounds. We saw how he was a little winded after his last fight, and I understand that he had a bad weight cut. Or what did he have going into the Bekzat fight? Was it staph? I honestly just think that Corey Sandhagen across 5 rounds is going to be able to push a pace with Umar. I think he's going to be able to. And his last performance, he had 1 arm, so it doesn't really even count, and he still wrestle-fucked Rob Font. I think Corey Sandhagen, if he's able to keep it standing, I think he should keep it standing. I think that if Corey Sandhagen tries to get a takedown on Umar, it'll be a detriment to his success. I think if Corey's able to keep it standing, keep on the outside, I like a body kick from Corey Sandhagen. I like a leg kick from Corey Sandhagen. I get that Corey will be a little tentative in this fight because the takedown threat is there, so he won't throw as much. But I still think Corey, even damage-wise, because Corey, he doesn't hit hard, but he uses his extremities very well. He uses his elbows, uses the knees. I think he's going to be able to cut open Umar Nurmagomedov. And I think if he's able to get to the body and legs of Umar, I think he's going to wear him out, and he's going to gas him out. And I think Corey Sandhagen in round 5 is going to be breathing relatively easy, and Umar is going to be huffing and puffing. I do think if Umar gets a takedown on Corey, if Umar takes him down, it's going to be tough for Corey to get back up, because Corey does have a weird tendency to sometimes give up his back. And I think if Umar gets his back, that's where the round's going to end. Because Umar is very strong on the back. So it's going to be like a Bilal Muhammad, Leon Edwards situation. If they get the back, that's where the round ends. Okay, that's where that round is going to end. I don't see Corey reversing out of Umar's back take. But if Corey's able to keep it standing, it should be relatively easy street. Even though Umar does hit hard, I just think that he does leave openings. He isn't as technical as some people say he is on the feet. He got one really cool KO, but besides that, he does have nasty kicks. I take that position back. Umar is pretty disgusting on the feet during moments, but he doesn't have the technique of a Corey Sandhagen. He doesn't have the IQ of a Corey Sandhagen. And I think Corey Sandhagen's bread and butter striking, he's a technical maestro. I think he's going to be able to get it done across 5. So, yeah, Corey Sandhagen, I'll go 48-47, unanimous. I think Umar is going to get a couple rounds. He'll get 2, at least, just because they're going to look for any reason to give him a round in this fight. But, yeah, so I'll go Corey. I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Abu Dhabi, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov on August 3rd, 2024. My confident picks reside with Guram Kutateledze, Michael Chiesa, and in the co-main event, Sharabutin Magomedov. My pre-card rating is an 8 out of 10. This is one of the most stellar fight nights we've had in a second. Both this and Saudi have been amazing. The actual location-based events this year in the UFC have actually been pretty fucking good, not gonna lie, the location-based fight nights. And this one's no different. A lot of cool fights. A lot of fights on here shouldn't be on here, though. I do feel like a Cheeto versus Davison matchup should be its own fight night main event. But besides that, great card. It's going to be a very fun watch. Going to be very early, 12 p.m. East Coast, 3 p.m. Main card start time. But, yeah. Who are your picks for the card? Who would you bet on? I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.